Oh hey, how's it going? So it's Sunday, December 15th. It's just before 7 a.m. I sleep in a little bit on Sundays, usually about an extra hour. But today I'm just going to walk you through and show you my morning routine, what I do every day, 365 days a year. So let's get going. Alright, so the first thing I do every morning is I have a dehumidifier in my room. Now, it used to have a drain, but what was happening was the drain was not draining correctly, so I have to buy a new one, but it's just something that's not on the budget right now for this fish room because this fish room is funded by you guys when you buy your products. I try not to use any of our home's money, actually money that I make for the household, for my fish room. It just keeps things real simple as far as taxes, but also my wife, you know, she allowed me to do this room and take up 250 square feet in our basement, but also now an office area where I run the business. So because I opened that office area, I can fund the fish room and then actually contribute a little bit to the house as far as electricity, water, and emergency fund and stuff like that. So you guys are buying stuff off my website, you're supporting all this, so just understand that. But the first thing I do is a dehu, and the reason why I haven't done a dehu is because I'm putting so much into R&D. So first thing I do is I bend over here and then I empty this water. This water fills up about every 12 hours in my fish room, and if I didn't have this in this fish room, it would be a wet mess in here. The walls are mold proof with mold proof paint, and then everything is triple insulated in here, so I don't lose a lot of energy as far as my energy costs. So I dump that out in the sink, and I think if you're going to have a fish room, it's important to have a sink area. But then I come to my brine shrimp, and I said in my last video 12 hours, that's not true. It's about 16 hours that I can hatch shrimp, and I want to get that first hatch early so I can feed the babies the best possible, the highest protein brine shrimp that I can. So 16 to 18 hours. And I'll go over that in the video when I launch these. Now these look like the China one, but they are, but I've hot rodded them. And now what I'm doing is I'm working on a better system than they have as far as shut-off valves and just the whole delivery system. But what I'm finding with these is we can lower the salt in them because of the way the bottom is. So, but I'll go over that in another video. So first thing I do is I settle these eggs. So this one is going on about 18 hours right now. And I have a new valve system that I'm working on. This is the Discus air valve, and what I'm going to do is switch this out to a fine-tuned air valve here, a shut-off valve here, and then I'm going to use an RO shut-off valve here. I'm just finding that this is a little awkward to work with. So R&D, we're probably another 2 or 3 months out till this is ready. So then all we do is we take this light, and this light's going to be included because it's very important to have the right light. I've gone through like 6 different lights, and we just turn this on and let that settle. Turn this light off, and we're going to turn off this overhead light. Alright, so that's better. So we'll let that settle for about 5 to 10 minutes, and then I'm going to go get some coffee because that's my that's my routine. I can't get started without coffee. So let me go get that going, and we'll be right back. Make some coffee. And you'll notice that I'm still wearing the same clothes as yesterday's video. It's because I was up till midnight packing orders. I appreciate all of you that order on my website. It really does help. Now, it's getting towards the end of the year, and I put a lot of money into this business. So I need everyone to help out and to buy off the website. I know that sounds like a shameless plug, but I'm so far in the hole right now because of everything that I'm buying and everything that I'm trying to make this business into, that every order helps. At this point, no profits at all. Basically what you guys are doing when you buy off my website is you're funding this business so it could be successful long term. And that's the way business is. So I'm not trying to tell you to buy. I'm just saying if you need something, please consider my website first, because you will be helping a business that long term will actually care about you as the hobbyist, about the fish in our fish tanks, and not be manipulated by corporations. Today's not going to be about that though, but I had to get that in because it's very important for me to keep doing what I'm doing. I'm working only in my other business about 3 days a week now, and I was doing 5 to 6. So it's about cut in half, but I'd like to do this full time. And I drink Crockett coffee. I love that stuff. It's so good. If you're not a coffee drinker, you wouldn't understand about this in the morning. I do this because it's just a routine that gets me going early, and I can really be effective as far as my next hour or two in the fish room. So we're gonna get that going, go back in the fish room, and start our day. Let's go. So these guys are settled right now, this brine shrimp. Take this to the side. I do not turn this light off yet because I'm gonna need it. Now, because it's set at 16 to 18 hours, there's a lot of eggs in the bottom. And what I look for at this point is I just want to see a thin line of eggs at the top. That means that some have hatched. Now these are going to be the best, most nutritious brine shrimp you'll ever get is at this point, that 16 to 18 hour mark. So what I do is, now when you guys buy this, we're trying to figure this part out, because some people are going to be over a sink, some people are going to be over a basin, but this is something I'm working on right now. So everything is in the early stages. We're probably only 2 months in with this design, so I would say another 3 or 4 months probably till it's actually ready, because I want to send it out perfect. So basically what I do is I use these cups, and the first the first drop of the brine shrimp is going to be mostly eggs with a little bit of brine in it. Okay. So we pop this off. Like I said, I'm fixing this part right now. I'm actually designing today. I'll be designing a new one today. So, because I've learned a lot from this, what's good and what's bad. So that's how I do my research and development, is basically I work with it minimum 6 months, sometimes up to a year. So we'll let that drain out. Now you'll notice that there's not a lot of shrimp in here. It's not pink, it's clear. So what I want to do is I want to drop this down as low as I can, because I want to get every little piece of shrimp out of there for my baby discus. One thing that some comments I'm getting on other platforms is when I talk I have a lisp now. And the reason why is because when I was 16, I was 16-year-old state champ number 4 in California, BMX. And the day I got my braces off, I was going over a set of triples, and I didn't know I had a low front tire. When I landed, my front end washed out, and the day I got my braces off, I hit my crossbar and knocked out my teeth. So right now what I'm going through, and the stuff they used back then wasn't very high quality, and what it's done is it's deteriorated my bone up here. So I have to have full bone replacement. So that's what I'm going through right now, and it's probably another 6 to 9 months, about $10,000, that this will be totally fixed. So when you hear a lisp or me slur a word, that's what's going on. It's something I've dealt with my whole life, but that's besides the point. Let's get back to the brine shrimp. So you see it's dropping, and what I like about this is it really focuses the light here. Now I probably don't need more, so this is a 4-ounce jar, and this is a little over a liter full. So I want to leave a little in there. I'll show you why. Close this off. Okay, so this is why we leave the light on. So right now, if you look at this, there's brine shrimp in there. There's actually a lot, okay? But this is full of unhatched eggs. I don't know if I can show that to you without spilling it. So you see all that? We don't want to throw that away. We want to keep that. Taking the water and dumping it through the sieve, which drains real quick. And then I want to get down to the brine shrimp, but not get the eggs. So now the brine shrimp just started coming in, right? So I can tell when the eggs. And you're going to get some, don't worry about it, but look at this. So now I got a little bit of brine, but mostly eggs. This goes back in. We'll take this, dump this back in. Now we have our water. Save your water. And I have the brine on top with some eggs in it. Whoops, with some eggs, but mostly brand new baby brine. Just gold, pure gold for baby fish growing quickly. And then take this out. This drain's got a hole in the bottom. And that's going to be a concept I'm going to work on. You'll see it, it'll be coming up in a video. So then I have this residue, which is baby brine shrimp and some eggs, and then I refill this to wash that away. Take this, make sure it's nice and shaken, fill this back up, the bottom, fill it. Now you're going to notice it didn't fill all the way back up to the, so there's a mark on this one. But it just got to the, under the line. So then what I do is I always have a jug of water in my fish room which is heated, and so every day I know that this is room temperature, and then what I do is I fill this back up to the line, which I know where it's at, but it'll be marked when you buy it. And I've come up with a special way to mark it that's pretty cool. So put this back, plug this in. Okay, so as it's set up, I want this thing rumbling. I want it rumbling so hard because what we're doing is we're mimicking waves, right? We want to make sure that it's constantly moving. You're not killing any baby brine shrimp at this point. You're hatching eggs, and those first, I think it's called nauplii. That's the first stage. That's when you want to bring the roughness of the water or the bubbling down. So you notice this one is bubbling really well. I want to bring this one down, not too much, because remember we're still hatching eggs in there, but about half of this one. And then like I said, what I like about this is this lid. It sits real tight. Okay, so now we have our eggs. And like I said, this is just the beginning stage of this process as far as building it. And then it used to be glued, so this was how I tested it. It's not staying, but that's okay. I shouldn't be showing this, but that's fine. So then I take my water, again, so very important to have a pitcher of water when you're hatching baby brine shrimp. And then we just rinse it out, okay? Now, this off, and like I said, it's going to be way better, but this is how I tested this theory. So now you have 4 ounces of the purest, best baby brine shrimp you can get. This stuff right here, whew, you want to watch fish grow, feed them this. This next stage, very good still. Very, very good. But this is what we're after. And this is taught to me by a breeder. His name is John Neiman's. He was 70s, 80s, 90s. I met him in the 90s. He taught me a lot. And he's the one that taught me about this. You know, he would try to feed at the nauplii stage all the time, but he understood that you were wasting a lot if you just try to get this. So he's the one that taught me this theory. Okay, so here we have some spawns of the discus that we just showed in the last video. Now this is a very small spawn, but if you look here, there's probably 6 or 7 under there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 have potential. When you get small spawns like that, you're not going to get great results because of the cull rate. It's about 5%. And when you get that low of a spawn, you're going to get about a 50-50 cull. Unfortunately, that's the way it works. So, but we're still going to feed them and see what they turn out like. I noticed 2 swim bladder problems in there. So this is that brine shrimp, really good. Let's see if they eat it. So with these smaller fish, this is the secret. But I feed even my bigger fish get this. So now we're going to walk through and feed all of the fish that I feed the baby brine shrimp to. So these guys are going to pick at it. You see them? Yep, there's a guy right there. He's actually growing pretty good, but his swim bladder. Sometimes that corrects itself, but not always. So that one might. We'll see, because he's growing pretty good. Usually what happens, because they burn so much energy, they're really skinny because they're always trying to fight to stay afloat. So they're picking at it. Let's move to something else. Future breeders. They're about 4.5, almost 5 months old. And this guy's got great color. Now out of these 4, I'll probably pick 2 for breeders and the other 2 I'll sell off. But I want to talk about something with my foods. So this is where my foods come from, is the baby brine shrimp. When you watch baby brine shrimp in the tank, it kind of goes through the water column, right? Some of it lands on the bottom, some comes to the front glass, some goes to the side glass, some stays at top. That's my concept for foods, because that's how fish in the wild eat. They don't eat in a corner of their territory. They're on the move all day long looking for food. Constantly, you know, if they're not breeding, they're looking for food. That's their life, right? And not trying to be eaten. That's what they do all day long. Now these guys are pretty secure because they know there's really no predators. These guys are in kind of open water, and you know, it's not ideal, but a tank's a tank holding water. They've been raised in this condition, so they're really used to it. Where I always recommend put it back on your tank, and they're going to be moved here soon. These guys still get baby brine shrimp, and they still get the Napoli. So I'm going to put this in now. They won't find it right away, but over time, it'll start sinking and they'll pick it off the bottom, and you'll see them and they'll graze this tank and eat. So when people tell me that my fish won't eat off the top, I just kind of chuckle. I'm like, well then, you haven't trained your fish right, because all fish eat from the top. All fish eat from the middle. All fish eat from the bottom, right? It doesn't matter. I've had arowanas, and all arowanas only eat at the top. BS. They go down and swoop down food all the time. And you could feed like shrimp, market shrimp, to an arowana and let it hit the bottom. They'll find that food and they will eat it. Just like discus eat from the top, you guys. Has nothing to do with, oh, my discus only eats. That's ridiculous. That is total ridiculous. In the wild, that's all they're trying to do is find food. And I don't care, the food might be a bug at the top. You don't think the discus is going to see that food and say, that looks delicious. But you know what? I'm not going to eat it because I don't eat off the top. No, they're going to sit there and they're going to creep up. They're going to go up, nab it, and come back down, right? That's how discus eat. They don't sit there and go, oh, I'm waiting for something at the bottom. Oh, if it hits this spot, then I'm going to eat it. But if it doesn't hit this spot, I'm not. No. They're eating all day long. They're picking algae. They're constantly on the move looking for food. They're staying close to structures because that's a security for them. But they're venturing out. And if you look in the wild, you can see them in riverbeds and estuaries, and they're bouncing along and they're picking stuff off, and they're in open water, right? Because they're in huge groups, and that's how they get security in the open, is in huge groups. That's why in our tanks are secure when you put more fish in a tank. One discus in a tank usually does not go well. So I try to do that like a quarantine where it's always 2 or 3 fish. So this concept of having to feed just at the bottom for discus, that has to go away, because that's garbage. That is total BS. That's something we've been just taught, and it's wrong because they eat everywhere. And if they don't, you're doing something wrong, because they should take a flake off the top just as quick as they take a pellet off the bottom. A healthy discus will eat food, just like a healthy human will eat food, right? Usually we stop eating when we're sick. So if your fish aren't attacking food, there's something wrong and you need to investigate. I'm going to go through and feed all these tanks. I'm going to kind of talk about each tank. It's going to be a longer video, but I think it's important. Okay, let's go. All right, let's feed these guys. These guys are cool. These are the Gary Lake Antijo Bozemanai. I love these fish, and I keep them because I love them. So they eat this stuff like crazy. They get a lot of it. I think it helps them grow quicker. Then here we have the praecox. These are the Melanotania praecock or dwarf neon rainbow fish. Another one of my favorites, and this one actually makes good money because the males and the females color up, and they color up early. So you can sell them at about an inch, and it takes about 6 months, 5 to 6 months to get them to a sellable size. So I haven't been pulling the mops just because I've been so focused on my discus. These guys get it too. Okay, so this is my kids' tank. The reason why I put a tank on the ground like this is I want my kids to come into my fish room, and they sit here for hours sometimes, and we just have conversations. I'll be doing water changes. I can come in and make sure I'm getting to know my kids, how's school, any issues. And here's the thing with children and fish tanks. If you're going to make a fish tank for a child, you want to put a variety in there. You don't want to put a bunch of tetras in there because they love to name fish. They like to look at fish and talk about fish and what's this fish and what does it do, why is it like that. So you get a lot of conversation going, but that leads to other conversations about school, you know, how things going, how you feeling. So they sit here and I make them a smoothie or something, and I'm doing water changes, and we'll talk, and you get to learn a lot about your children in front of a fish tank. But to make a tank like this for your children on the bottom, and that's why I keep it, but it's a little selfish, right? What I'm trying to do is create my own pleco. So every kind of pleco you can think of as far as the bristlenose is in here. And then I have a strain of guppies I've been working on for 2 years. And they started as a blue delta, and I didn't like the big tail, so I'm shrinking the tail down so they're a little quicker. Now that means they go after their fry. I understand that. But I hate a guppy that swims like this. Like this. It swims like woo, and it's miserable. It's not swimming like a fish should. So shrinking the tail down, but what also I'm doing is, I believe they were crossed with endlers at one point because they had that endler spot in them. So I bred that out, and I'm calling them the blue steel. They won't be ready for about another year, but because I have this tank here, and I do water changes on this probably 3 times a year because of the deep substrate, bother fish. I know you bagged on me once because I keep my tanks empty. This is for you, buddy. And it's hilarious. I mean, people in this community are crazy, but whatever. And then, so I got the guppy, but I also got the red shrimp. I don't know anything about shrimp, but I put 16 of them in here, and they're breeding, and they got babies everywhere. So it's kind of a multi-purpose tank that I've created just for my kids, but I figured why not put stuff in there that I can make money on. So, another year I'll probably be making some serious money, but like this big old albino, he can go because he's a little too big for this tank. And yeah, it's a fun tank. But this one gets a ton because, believe it or not, I've seen the red shrimp. I think I don't remember what they're called. I don't know much about shrimp, but I didn't even know if they would survive. But they actually chase down this baby brine shrimp, especially at this stage, because they can eat it because it's so small. And they get a lot of it. So yeah, fun tank. I actually enjoy it. What I like about it is very low maintenance. Oh, man, I'm getting old. Let's sit down here. So what I like about it is very low maintenance. There's even a discus in here. I don't know how that discus got in here, but he's a little guy, and he's not growing, but he's not really stunted, so I think he was just a small discus. I don't know if you can see him back there. But no, it's a fun tank. I forgot the shrimp name. You might know. It's a super red shrimp, whatever they're called. You guys, one of you shrimp people, let me know. But yeah. Oh, and also I got a calico longfin in here, and then I got an albino longfin. And so basically, what I'm just trying to do is create my own pleco, because people always say, "Oh, I've never heard anybody do that." How do you think they create these other strains? Just by accident. They don't sit there and go, "I'm going to put this pleco with this pleco. I'm going to create this pleco." That's not how it works. It's like, whoops, oh, they crossbred and they came up with this new, pull that out, let's try to breed that thing and see if we can make another one of them. That's how plecos are bred. So You know, that's one of the few fish, like a rainbow fish, you would never do that. Or even the L numbers, you could the Picoltia and stuff, you could cross those, but why? They're so beautiful the way they are. So like the rainbow fish, you start crossing rainbow fish, you're gonna end up with a brown fish. So it's a total waste. So love this tank. Oh, here he is, right here. This little guy. It's hilarious. He must have got in there as a super tiny fry on a net or something, and he's growing up in there, and he's staying to size where he's got to be 6 months old, and he's like this big. But his body's not growing, his eyes are staying small, so either he's adapting or he was just a real small discus that probably would have been cold. But he's gonna live out his life in there. My kids love him. They named him, I think his name's Charlie or Timmy, or I don't remember, but each of them named him something different. But that's the key with these kind of tanks is your children will sit in front of it instead of sitting in front of a TV screen or a computer screen, and they'll get enthralled, right? They'll see things in here, like there's scuds in here, and they'll see those baby shrimp, and they'll just start, oh my gosh, look at that, you know. And so it's amazing because it brings us close, but hopefully one day they'll have a fish tank. So it's just a great way to help the next generation understand how awesome this hobby is. All right, so here you see, this is my wild Pontinol stir-by tank. So they stopped breeding for the winter, they're done. So basically what I've done is I've made this water kind of acidic, not too acidic, because if you look here, all right, so this is my angelfish project. I have some red Monica Pora albinos that I've been breeding for about, this is like the 7th generation of them, and I'm trying to get rid of the striping. But I also have another generation. So this is my little project, and this is an angel wall. I'll show it from far away. But these guys, and what else is in here? So I'm always thinking about tanks as far as the water column and the bottom. So in here is about 19, I just sold a bunch of them. 19 of the L494s. They're about 1 inch long, and they love baby brine shrimp. So, but the angels, so really what I'm focusing on the angels is, obviously I want a solid fish because the stripes don't sell for some reason, which I love the stripes, but they don't sell. But really what I'm concentrating on the angelfish, because I see it all the time, it drives me nuts. Angelfish with curved fins or twisted fins or missing fins. So this is a very wild strain. There's albinos in here, and I'm trying to create the perfect angelfish. Now, do you make a lot of money at angelfish? No, not per fish. But the numbers, I mean, I could have 1,000 angelfish in this room, like in like a month if I wanted. But I don't want, I keep them small. I just take what I need, and then I just let the other ones just kind of go. And then what I do is once I get a pair to spawn and I get their generation, I sell that pair off. Now that sounds strange, but I don't want a room full of angelfish. They will take over a room before you know it. So this is the thing with angels, right? But if you can look at the bottom, you can see all these plecos starting to come out. They are, it's one of my favorite plecos, becoming one of my favorite plecos is the L494. The parents are amazing, but what's cool is the babies, man. They get that nice zebra striping on them, and I think they're very desirable for people. So, and they grow quick, and they spawn pretty easily, guys. If you want to find a cool pleco to make some money on, the L494, look it up. It's pretty cool. I have 19 babies, and they're actually spawning right now. So they're not spawning. They're trapping the female. There's 3 males and 1 female, and they're trapping her. Or actually, yeah, 3 males, 1 female. So they're trapping her right now. So she'll be spawning in the next couple days. But what's the same thing like the discus? Because they're in with the L134s, hopefully that'll help them spawn. All right, guys, that's it for today. There's a ton more tanks I want to go through, and I'm changing my fish room up a ton. I'm trying to clean it up, get it more organized, really have tanks that are dedicated to making money to help my business. So if you can help out, buy something on the website. It really does help me go to the next level, and hopefully I can do this full time. So, all right, guys, take care. Bye.